Adam Coleman wrote a great op-ed in response to George Soros. He is the author of Black Victim to Black Victor, and he joins us now. And Adam, it's great to have you on tonight. We appreciate you coming on. Soros had this line in his recent op-ed: "We need to acknowledge that black people in the U.S. are 5 times as likely to be sent to jail as white people. That is an injustice that undermines our democracy." Explain how that's an injustice.
Well, I mean, it's an injustice to him because he only looks at the superficial. The problem with a lot of progressives like George Soros is that all they see is disparities, and disparities to them equal discrimination. The problem is that that's not true. You know, the NBA is majority black. You wouldn't say the discrimination against white people, right? So obviously, there may be discrimination that happens in certain scenarios, but to make a blatant statement as to why that's the case, it's because he doesn't care about the actual real problems that are facing black Americans, or I should say, black Americans who are part of the criminal justice system. It's just a...
And not to cut you off, but I want to show what you said in your rebuttal here. You said Soros will never talk to you about the links between criminality and fatherlessness because the solution to fatherlessness wouldn't involve the government and can't be bought by a billionaire elitist. Soros will continue to use poverty as an excuse for overall criminality while overshadowing the moral aspect of crime. Go into that a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I am a child who grew up without his father, and I know how vulnerable and how impressionable I was. And thankfully, we moved out of a dangerous neighborhood and more into a more pleasant neighborhood. But I know if I stayed where I lived at in Detroit when I was a child, that I'd likely be part of that statistic. I'd likely be drawn into that particular lifestyle. And he doesn't look at that because that's uncomfortable. There is no quick solution. You can't put a bumper sticker on fatherlessness. There is no easy slogan that you can throw around. But that's the part of the problem with progressive thinking, is that everything is superficial, everything is systemic. And the reason everything is systemic is because they want to tear down every system.
Well, how do you think that I mean, obviously they had this study, which it took us 10 minutes to debunk because we saw that from every corner of it, we're just partisans. These people all had one agenda and they put together the little study, and I think it makes liberals feel better about the fact that what they've implemented in this country over the last 2 years has cost probably thousands of black lives in inner cities with the skyrocketing crime rate. This was just their way of trying to absolve themselves of that.
Yeah, and there's absolute hubris when it comes to all of this. They will never admit that their plans failed because their ideology is concrete to them. They will never be critical of their behavior. But even more so, what gives George Soros the authority to influence the criminal justice system simply because he's rich? You know, how is he accountable when people die because of his choices, his actions, and his advocacy? He doesn't suffer the consequences. When he lets criminals out, when he advocates for, indiscriminate bail reform, and people just get a slap on the wrist, does he care about the victims? Yeah. And my answer is no. Obviously, big philanthropy and people like George Soros, they're malevolent figures within our society. And I think it's about time that we speak up about it.
Yeah. They go to dinner parties in fancy neighborhoods, and they don't have to really see the reality of any of this. And that's what's so frustrating about all of it. Adam Coleman, loved the op-ed in the Post, and we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.